Salutations, Dufos. This is your fabulous leader, the Queen of Shade, coming at you with another special presentation. I have someone very special that I would like to introduce you to. I follow this person, they follow me, I uplift them, they uplift me. And our friendship was forged on that kind of kindness. So having said that, I would like to introduce you all to Mr. Morgan Munsey. Hi, Morgan.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
How are you today?
That was great. I'm really well. I'm really well.
Yeah, well, hey, it's Sunday morning. Everybody else is asleep and we're up early in the morning so we can have a little conversation.
Well, it's like 4 o'clock here, so
Yes, I was getting ready. I was getting ready to get to that. So 4 o'clock, where is that?
I'm in Lisbon.
Lisbon? Yes, you're
Portugal.
in Lisbon, Portugal. Wow. And you split your time between there and where you're from, which is?
I'm Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
So I'm back from New York and then I'm in Lisbon. It's about equal distance, it's equal time. Maybe a little bit more in New York because I have to work in New York, but it's about 6.5 months in New York and like 5.5 months here. So
wow, you really enjoy Lisbon.
I enjoy it, and my mother lives here as well. So she's like literally around the corner from my house. So.
Wow. So what is it about Lisbon that drew you there?
That's an interesting story. How I even got here. Where do I begin with this story?
We got time. We got an hour. We got time.
Okay. So I, you know how, and we have our Black family reunions, you know, and I was in charge. I'm a history person. I love history, you know, and my family's like, since you're a history guy, you know, we've had these reunions since the, 50s, I think, you know, in my family. And they're like, well, we just go eat, drink, dance, and then go home. And we never knew really what we were about. And so they gave me the task of finding out more, you know, and I came back and I told my mom, said, hey, your grandfather, it says he's Portuguese, but he was born in Virginia. So I'm like, what's going on here, you know? And I've seen a picture of the man and maybe Brazilian, you know, but not, I didn't think of what I thought of Portuguese, you know? And so, and at the time I told my ex at the time about this because he had always gone to Portugal as a kid. And then literally a week later, the New York Times did an article on certain types of hotels. There are policies here. He says, we should go. And I'm like, okay. So I came here, literally had a moment in the airport. I thought someone stole my luggage, but I just had a black bag like everybody else did. So no one stole anything. But after deep it out in the airport, you know, big crazy black man going, where's my luggage, you know? And then my luggage came around and I said, whatever. So literally, but after that, when I walked out the airport, I something was like, this is right. This place is right, you know? And yeah, I fell in love like right away. Like at one point, maybe like the second day of my trip, that first trip, this is like in 2006.
Yeah.
We were driving from Lisbon to Porto, which is a northern city, second city of Portugal. And wow, I started like tears coming out my eyes because I was so like, something touched me. And I never had that happen to me before, you know, and I'm sensitive, but not like that, you know? So it was very, you know, it was very nice. And then like the people were great and the food is good and, you know, it's easy life. And I always tell people I can take a racism break, you know, like, cause they don't really look at you as, you know, as a Black American. They don't look at you as a Black American like as they do in the United States. You know, it's more like, oh wow, you're a Black American. That's cool. You're bringing all this culture and like you have this, you know, even though I can't sing, dance, or do anything, you know, but they look at us all as like we're little Michael Jacksons or something like that.
Yeah.
So
that is so beautiful. So since 2006, you fell in love and you've been going back ever since.
Yeah, and I purchased a home here in 2018. So it took me a little bit of years. You know, I was in a relationship after that one, and I was going to actually to other places in Europe, you know, like mainly Germany a lot, you know. So
yeah, it's cold in Germany.
yeah. Like right, yeah. Like today it's like 65. It's actually kind of a cold day here today, but you know, it's like usually 65, 70 on a, you know, in December. So compared to New York, it's nice.
Right. So you literally are splitting your time between Portugal and Brooklyn.
That's right. That's right.
My
My two
God.
loves, Lisbon and Portugal, you know, in Brooklyn.
You're living the dream.
Trying to. You know, it's funny. My colleagues at work are like, "When are you coming back?" I'm like, "Next month, maybe." You know.
Yeah.
And like we have COVID here, but I'm like, they got more COVID there in Brooklyn. I don't want to deal with that right now.
So tell everybody what you do, Mister.
So I'm actually my background is architecture. I worked as an architect for many years. My degree's in architecture, my undergraduate degree anyway. And then I kind of switched over into urban planning. Sorry, that was my second degree, but I went into real estate development actually. Pretty much what I do is kind of architecture in a way where I take old buildings and restore them and bring them kind of back to what they were. You know, I really don't renovate them. I really restore them. So it's not like you're looking for like open concept and all this crazy, you know, I shouldn't say crazy, but like the newer style, you're not going to get that with me. I'm very like preservation Nazi. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I like buildings with soul. So I can, you know, I like a little bit of history and but that's why I love this place. That's why I love the East Coast of the US, you know, because it has so much great history and great old buildings.
So not only do you have multiple degrees, not only are you an architect, you also are into real estate.
Yes.
You do.
And I sell many homes as well. You know, like right now I'm selling one house of mine, which is I have partners, and we're like this one was like a baby to me because I kind of like I found it, you know, we restored it, you know, and now it's we're getting rid of this. I mean, it's like selling my child off, you know? So it's like my houses are my babies, you know. So
yeah, you get attached to them.
Yes, but you know what? I don't know. Like we got one house now. It's going to contract, and I'm kind of like I'm feeling okay. You know, I thought I was weirded out when it was like on the market, but now I'm like I'm okay.
I'm glad. You know, I brought you on here because I met you in a very bizarre way. I met you because you're gorgeous. Let's just get that out of the way. You're gorgeous, and you're always so modest. So that's what I'm always.
When you're telling me this, I'm like, there's something wrong. Like, where's the mirror?
Right. I'm like, you know, and that's always been you since I met you. But I met you through my producer. You've known my producer since she was a baby.
She was a baby. You know? So it's like, and I know her and her family, you know, we're like super close, you know, and it was so weird. I was like, what? You know, because you mentioned that she's your producer, and I knew she was into music, but in my head, I still see like the 3 or 4-year-old little girl, you know. I know her really, you know, and I've seen her, you know, grow and go to school and do all this stuff. But, you know, when you said she's your producer, I was like, what? You know, like, how old am I?
You're old enough to look good. How about that?
Thank you.
She actually just released her own album. I don't know if you had it. Yes, I was gonna say, I don't know if you had a chance to listen to that. I'm gonna have I'm gonna have to send that to you. Yeah,
please,
she just released her own album, and she wrote it and she mixed it and mastered it and produced it and sang it and did the background vocals. She did everything for it. She's she's quite the maverick.
It's funny because, you know, I mean, like I said, my family's from Virginia. I grew up in Virginia as a kid. And that area, you know, where she's from as well, is full of, you know, great talent and music. You know, you have like Pharrell and Missy Elliott, and you know, Teddy Riley was down there for a time, and you know, even Chris Brown. You know, so it's like it's full. I mean, even if you go old school, you know, you have Pearl Bailey and Ellis Fitzgerald, you know, and Bruce Brown. So it's like full of music down in that area. You know, it kind of gets overlooked. Very musical
Yeah,
city.
you're absolutely right. She had reached out to Missy Elliott several times, and she actually like got, responses because Missy liked her work.
You know what? That makes me feel good because, I'm not going to say who. I think I mentioned the name earlier, but Missy Elliott. When I remember Missy being in the mall singing,
Yeah.
and she reached out to a big producer there at the time, and he was just looked at her being judgmental. Just looked at her and told her, "No, you're never going to be big. You don't have to look, whatever, And she proved him wrong, and
Oh,
he ended up pretty much going down a
yeah.
lot, and
She went
she's
up.
like, Missy Elliott.
Yeah, and she went up. Yes, she went up.
So I was like, I think she had the best last laugh.
I would agree. I would agree.
Yes.
And she's heard Kara's work and given positive feedback.
Wow,
And it's
that's
just,
very
yeah.
nice.
So
That's
that's
very
how, like,
nice.
I'll never forget. I was in Atlanta in 2018, and she showed me your page, and I was like, and that was it. I just, from that moment on, I just was like, okay, I want to know him. I want to know him because I liked your look. I liked
Oh,
your,
really?
yeah,
Really?
you take, yeah, I
It's
liked your
it's
look.
funny. It's funny. The page was actually, you're saying I'm modest, but it was kind of like my self-confidence as well. I was trying to get myself, I was in a relationship, I was coming out of a relationship, of like 8 years.
Right.
And, you know, one of my best friends was saying, we went out, actually here in Lisbon, for the first time being single in a long time. And I was getting like attention I never got,
Yeah.
actually, I would say, because um, and my friend's kind of like smacked me in the head a little bit, said, look, you're a decent looking guy, so market a little bit more while you got it, Gonna be like a grandpa soon. So like go on and do your thing, I was like,
Hell, I'm almost a grandma. I'm
then
39.
I kind of like opened up those floodgates and I become,
You
who I am.
did. What also drew me to you was your love of fitness. You don't play any games. You love
You
fitness.
know, that love is just because it's not really for me. It's not like a vanity thing. It's more of it's a health thing. I have
Yeah.
my father and all his brothers did not make 70 years old.
Mm.
And they were physically fit guys, but they just didn't take care of themselves. I mean, they would go to exercise, but then they would drink and smoke as well. And I don't want to end up like them. I have and they had a good chance to live a long life. And then my dad's mom and father lived, into the late 80s and 90s,
Yeah.
So I think it's just because but they had like a different lifestyle. So I was like, okay, let me just kind of keep my, myself in check, So I don't. Another thing that happened is I went to my 20th year high school reunion, and it kind of like reaffirmed that because I was like, who are these people? Who are these
Uh-huh.
old folks?
You looking like I look young and beautiful. Who are these people?
Yeah, and it's funny because I was such a skinny kid. I was like, I mean, I'm still kind of, but like I was really, really skinny.
The perfect size.
Student. And I remember when I was at this reunion, my uh, classmates were saying they didn't, they were asking me if I was someone's husband or, like they said they never seen me before. And I was like, yeah, I was always here. Like I literally missed one day of high school the whole time,
Oh,
So, and
wow.
I was this height since I was 15. So I'm a
Yeah.
tall guy. So it's like, I'm not like, hard to miss, but, I went to a predominantly white high school. So I was
Right.
like, one of, I think, 26 Black kids out of
Yeah.
2,000 kids, in the
Yeah.
whole high school. So
Yeah.
it was very interesting that they're like, oh, where'd you come from? It's like, I was always there.
But you know what? It's okay to be the quiet guy. It's always usually the quiet ones that are, and it's so crazy because I'm gonna keep saying it to you this entire time because now I get the opportunity to say it aloud for other people to hear it. But the quiet ones are always the beautiful ones. The nerdy ones are always the ones that grow up. and are, these bombshells. I was a nerd myself. I was a real nerd. My glasses were thick and I carried every book. Yeah, I said to you while we were setting up, where's your glasses? Yeah. I have contacts in now. So,
I can't see nothing, actually. That's what I'm doing. That's what's making me more comfortable. I see you, but I can't see myself. That's a good thing.
Well, guess what? You're doing great. You look great. You got a good energy. You're doing well. But yeah, like it's always the kids that they overlook that grow up and blossom. And, I noticed that too. Some kids peak in high school and that's it. I was a late bloomer and you were too. We bloomed very late. So that was actually a good thing because now we get to enjoy, our lives a little longer, enjoy beauty a little longer, and just enjoy, the beauty of Black knot cracking.
That's one thing I do thank my parents for. It's like, thank you. Some Black does crack, but like, I look at my mom who's in her 70s and my father, he'll say he died in the 60s, but he still looked great.
Yeah.
Even with like elements and everything, and even my mother's older sister and my mother's sister's husband is like nearly 90. And this guy is like, he looks amazing. He's in great shape. I think he's gonna outlive my aunt. She's a little mean. And I'm like, wow, like we have a blessing. Here in Portugal, I'm going to say something kind of shady, but it's not coming from a shady place.
I understand.
The people, especially the guys, are very beautiful up until a certain age. I don't know why, but it's like I call it the transition phase, and then like most guys my age here are just just a different look. It's almost like how Americans used to look, and when someone was 40 years ago, they looked different, 40. They looked older,
Yeah, they looked it.
Whereas I've seen, now I think that's the good thing about the US. I've seen, we have Botox now, whatever, but I've seen, guys much older than me who look much younger. Like I have a cousin who's like 50 years old. The guy looks 25. I think he's like going to see a surgeon or something. There's no way this guy, he's not aged since I was like born.
So with being in Portugal and seeing that there's a different response to you than might have been when you were growing up, whereas people didn't notice you in Portugal, they notice you immediately.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's interesting. Portuguese on the whole are usually smaller people. Like I said, I'm 6'4".
Yeah.
So I'm already standing out, and then I guess often they would think I'm like there's a lot of Brazilians here and a lot of people from Cape Verde here, and I'm neither one of those. and so they might think I'm from there, but then they hear English come out of my mouth, so they're like, "What's happening?" So it's funny because even just speaking English makes you sexy here. So it's kind of like American English on top of it. Yeah. So it's like, okay, let me just keep talking, even though I'm learning Portuguese now, but it's like I do better than speaking English, if I want to get things done. Yeah. Get more respect, I should say.
Yeah. You're 6'4". Wasn't your mother a fashion model?
She was. She could have done more, but my father was very old school and kept her at home. My mom has this. Her story is very interesting. Like at one point, she had her best friend was a teacher who had an issue with his school and got fired. I think he slapped one of his students. Emotional man. And anyway, my mother kind of like secretly like paid his bills until he could get. She says, "You know what? You make my face so well. Why don't you take your portfolio and take it to like Essence magazine and like let's meet Susan Taylor and see what happens." And so they go to New York and they go just walk through Essence. I guess it was a newish magazine, and this is like in the 70s.
Yeah.
And he came out. My mother was with him waiting in the lobby. He came out and says, he calls my mother Mary. Her name is not Mary, but my mother's friend calls everyone Mary. And he goes, Mary, she didn't like any of my photos, but she only liked one. And it was a picture that he did of my mom. And he says, "Oh, you like this picture? She's outside in the lobby, you know." And when Susan Taylor saw her, he goes, "Oh my God, you can be my April cover of whatever 1977, you know, and because you're golden." My mother's very gold, you know,
Yeah.
and so he said, "Okay, you know, what not?" She hired my mother's friend, you know, his name was Reggie Wells, and he ended up going to Oprah and later, you know, other things. But yeah, it was very, you know, she was very excited about that. And she comes back and tells my father, you know, my father's like, "No, you're not doing anything." You know, it's old school.
Oh,
My father's very old school. He was a very old school guy. So
yeah.
he stopped her for a lot of things, but she did a lot of work though. She did do, you know, mainly kind of like mid-Atlantic, you know, Philadelphia, Baltimore, DC kind of stuff. But yeah, she could have, you know, she looks at these young girls now. She says, "Oh, I could have, you know, work rings around Miss Tyra and all these people."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. See, that's what people don't understand, that these, like, they don't understand, such as yourself, beauty is genetic. And, you know, I believe that everybody's beautiful, but in that industry, there are just certain standards. And when people
Yes,
fit the standards, they fit the standards. It's not, you know, they're
this is
not
true.
freaks, they're not aliens, they're not, you know, they're not extraterrestrial. They're just a certain standard. So how, okay, so you mentioned that you get a better response in Lisbon. Do you speak Portuguese?
No fun Portuguese, but a little bit, a little bit. The more I start drinking, you know, like I am just speaking it.
Oh my gosh. So tell me the difference. So you're in New York City, Brooklyn. What's the difference? Tell me the difference.
You know, it's funny being in Brooklyn is like is such a different place, even in New York City. You know, it's like little villages. All I mean, that's pretty much all New York City, but Brooklyn especially is like these little villages. You know, and so it's almost like I live in a small town. You know, like if I'm running late, I have to take the train. I have to usually go the long way to the train so I won't run into people because people are going to ask, "So how you doing? How's your family? You know, how's this happening?" And they want to talk, you know, and it's like, you know, actually, I always say, especially where I live in Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn, and it's very, very tight knit community.
Yeah.
Now, I think it's going to change very soon because there's gentrification and people coming in from Manhattan and they don't really speak and whatever. But I do love it. That's what I do love about it. You know, and I am concerned, you know, and I'm part of the problem. Like I'm pretty much selling houses to people who, you know, are coming from, you know, big money from wherever they're from, and they're not used to the culture of. I'm always trying to warn people or kind of give them a school them one, like how it is to live in Brooklyn. You know, it's because you have all these people from the Caribbean and in the South, you know, and they do the same things they do at home, you know, and so you have to kind of tell folks from places, you know, other places like, you know, if Miss Mary says good morning to you, you say good morning to her as well and ask her how her garden in the back is doing. And, you know.
You know, what I love is that most people, when they think of New York, they think of hustle and bustle. They don't know that there are these gems of neighborhoods. And, you know, in New York, one of my friends lives, I forget where he lives in New York, but literally it was not the New York I knew. Like I would come into Manhattan, and Manhattan is where all the modeling agencies are. And when I was trying to go on the
Yeah.
Go Seas and stuff like that, and then he lived in a place, and I mean, it was a Sunday morning, and he's walking down the street, and he's just like showing me his camera, and this looks like a normal, quiet suburban neighborhood, big palatial homes, and I'm just like, wow, you know, this is New York. And he's like, yeah, this is why I don't want to leave. He was like, most people think of New York as busy. This right here is New York. And I'm just like, wow. So I didn't forget my question. So tell me what the difference is in people treating
You
you.
know, the difference is, it really isn't that much difference, actually. That's why I kind of like both places. Um, of course, where I live in Lisbon is it's kind of like it's not the center of Lisbon. It's not the tourist center of Lisbon, but it's more the Portuguese center of Lisbon.
Yeah.
Um, and it's a bit busier here than it is where I live in Brooklyn, which is interesting. But I do like the pace of it. You know, it's busier, but it's slower at the same time. And I don't know if I'm making any sense at all
It
right
makes sense.
now, but
It makes sense.
um, everything moves slow here. You know, people drive slow. I'm crossing the street, sometimes doing illegal, crossing from a New Yorker, and I'm like, people actually wait for the light to turn red and green and all this kind of stuff, So, it's very, sorry, something I'm going to pop up. Yeah, it is very different pace. It's very, it's like going to an old world sometimes, here it's like, downstairs from me here is a bakery, and you smell the bakery, and the lady's like, "Hey, I got some bread for you." I've come home some nights, and in Lisbon, I've seen the sun come up a lot, right?
Wow.
And I've seen the sun come up here more than I have seen it in New York, But anyway, I'm coming home, and the lady at the bakery who's been there since the late 40s, she was like telling me like, "Oh, I have some, something for you," because she knows I'm a little bit, alcoholed up. And so she's like,
She's giving you bread to kind of sop
give
it
me
up in
some
your
bread
stomach.
before I go to bed,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, that kind of thing I would do. Like that doesn't really happen in Brooklyn.
It's old world.
So,
would you say it's like it's old world, but it's like family? Everybody's very.
It's a family, yeah. It's like I have two families. It's like your mom's side and your dad's side. It's kind of like that kind of thing, And that's what it feels. But I do love Lisbon. Like here, I date in Lisbon. I don't date in New York.
Right. I was going to ask you about that.
Okay, yeah.
You find it easier to date in Lisbon?
It's much easier. Yeah, much easier. My friends, when they come here, they're like, "Oh my God, what's going on? Why is it so easy for me to meet someone and do whatever you want to do?"
Right.
So they were shocked. Like I had a good friend of mine. I won't say his name because he's trying to come up on his little career, but he was saying like, "Oh my goodness, this is like," it was like bizarre for him, It was like, this was like, he was here for a week, and I think he had 6 dates in that 7-day period,
Wow.
So sometimes he had double, he actually had more, because one day it was like, I have a date this morning, I have one in the afternoon and one in the evening. So it's more like, I can't wait for you to come here. That's what.
Yes, I was getting to that. I was getting to that, saying you invited me, my friend, and I'm going to have to come.
I would love for you to come. You would do very well. You would do very well.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's an interesting place. It's a very Catholic country, but it's not at the same time. It's a very open-minded society here. But then sometimes it's very closed. It's certain old things like traditions and things like that. But it's very, it's like I said, it's old world, but then it's very new. Like certain things they do here, it's very progressive, and it's like, why are we? I mean, we're in America, we should be like the forefronters of everything, but we're like sometimes behind with a lot of things as well. So
yeah, we're behind with a lot. Like we're behind with community, love, care, looking out for your people, your neighbor, socialized healthcare. We're behind in a lot.
Oh, the healthcare. My friend I have a good friend of mine here. She's from Scotland, and she's actually she's probably having a baby next week. And she told me, how much she paid for the whole time from being pregnant, until next week when she has a baby, which is also free. It's 140 euro, which is about $160. To have a baby. That's it. Like that's all she's paying. And this is private. And she had the public health care, which is free. She shouldn't pay anything, but she's paying for her own room and all that. Having a Beyonce style pregnancy, it's going to be 160 euro, $160.
That's what people don't understand. Like I found myself in Paris, but I want to travel the world. One thing that I love is, Black and Latin men. I always promote them because they're so beautiful to me. Like it's beyond.
And I thank you for doing that, because I think we don't get love in the world. So I thank you for bringing it out.
Yeah, and I will continue to do it. My absolute pleasure. But it's just these men. I don't know. It's just I have a soft spot. I mean, I am one. So it's just like, okay, I love to promote men. And then, like I said, I bring you on and you find out that you guys have so much culture and you have so much, you're well-rounded and, you know, you're traveling the world. Did you travel at all during COVID?
I came here. I
Yeah.
went to Colombia as well. Speaking of beautiful men, but
Yeah.
I went to Colombia. I did go to Spain for like, but it's right next door. It's like going
Mm-hmm.
from
Mm-hmm.
Maryland to Pennsylvania or something like that. You know, so it
Mm-hmm.
was like a major thing. But it, I did travel a little bit. I've been blessed so far. I haven't, tested positive for
Right.
COVID. I feel like all around me now is a lot of people are getting COVID. Just last night, two people told me who I know got this, COVID, and they're vaccinated and all this, That's why I was kind of like, I've not been my normal self this trip
Yeah.
because I usually would be like out and like just waking up now,
Yeah.
but I'm a little bit more cautious,
Yeah.
so
Do you
it's
find that
weird times, I tell you.
yeah, do you find that the medicine is up to par?
Like the COVID, like, it's interesting. I I think I've been around people with, with it, and think, I actually think I had the third shot before I
Yeah.
came here, and I was around someone, I was around two people who got it, like, and it wasn't, I don't know, maybe the timing wasn't right, maybe they were still shedding or whatever, but I think it's working. I do think it's working.
Yeah.
I always say, like a lot of people are weird about the vaccines and stuff, but I'm a bit like, hey, I've had chicken nuggets before, so I don't know what's inside that, so I don't care about.
Right. I like when they rolled out the vaccination here, I was like, I don't care. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it.
Yes,
Like, and
yeah.
that's exactly what I did.
I'd rather this. I mean, it's like, come on, what are you going to do? Like die in the hospital or, or
Right.
I think
Right.
if the government really wants to, someone's like, oh, they putting a chip in you, and it's kind of like, you know what? They can follow me all they want. The more followers, the better.
I'm at.
They might see something they might like. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah. No. So like I'm glad that you have a place to go, my thing is I noticed, when I contact you and you're there, I'm like, you really love Lisbon. You really love Lisbon. I would venture to say that I already know that when you retire, you're going to retire in Lisbon.
It's funny you said that. So in order to even become like a resident here, it's an easy place to retire too.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of French people come here because they don't have to pay taxes and all this kind of stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
we have, as long as you make over, I believe, $800 a month,
Mm-hmm.
they will let you retire here. Or so it's or live here. You don't have to retire; you can just live here as long as you have passive income of that. It's a
Right.
very easy country. It's the third safest country in the world. I think New Zealand and Iceland are safer.
Well, that's because
It's
there's
not on the
nobody
terrorist.
there. I'm like, that's because there's nobody there. Iceland, like,
There's like, yeah, probably pretty much, yeah.
not us.
We have like I said, I mean, there is some kind of weird, I wouldn't say racism, but I'm sure they have it in some old people or whatever. But I think it's more like a cultural thing. Like I had a friend of mine here. He's a blonde, blue-eyed Brazilian guy.
Yeah.
And a lot of Brazilians are here. And I feel like the Brazilians, especially the first wave that came about 30, 40 years ago, it's kind of like the worst Brazilians came here first, and so they got this reputation of like, oh, they're all like prostitutes and, drug dealers, But now, there's a new group, there's actually the wealthy people coming to this country are mainly Brazilians and actually Angolans. Angolans are the biggest. It's I was asking this this guy, this black guy here. I was like, well, who are like the people in charge here? Who has all the money in Portugal? I said, like, he lived in London. He's like, I said, like in London, like Arabs have all the money, and then in New York, kind of the Jewish people have all the money.
Yeah.
So who has the funds here? And he said the Angolans. And I was like, what? the who? Like Angola, like Africa, Angola, you know? And I did my DNA and I'm like 26% Angolan. I was like, I need to get some cousins that got some funds, you know? But
Right.
yeah, it was very interesting to see. And then you go up the main street here, the main shopping street. It's like the Madison Avenue. It's called Avenida de Liberdade. It's all the Gucci and Louis Vuitton and all this stuff. Is you see these like wealthy Black people with their bags, and these are like new bags. It's not like some used bags they've been using like a 38. These are like new stuff. And you're like, wow, this is something to see.
Yeah.
And I try to like bring more of my relatives over here so they can see, especially the young ones, so they can see like, look, these people have, oil diamond money, or whatever. It's shopping like it's no tomorrow.
Wow, that's news to me. I didn't even know that the old Angolans were there. And then on top of that, they're the wealthiest in the country.
They're one of the wealthiest I think, actually right now, the second richest Black woman in the world is an Angolan woman.
Wow.
She's wanted right now, so we don't know where she is.
Oh.
She's a little bit, she's richer than Oprah, I know. And she's like, it's so funny because my mother's like, leave her alone. She has dimples. I was like, really, Mom? It's like harm people, whatever, whatever. But anyway, it's she's, anybody who works around her circle, they're all wealthy, and it's a lot of folks there, so it's kind of nice to see. They might get their money sometimes shady ways, but it's nice to see, us shopping in like kind of a Rodeo Drive type of way.
Yes, I agree. I agree, because like that's not something we see here. That's not the
no. It's just it was a culture shock for me to see when I first came here. So,
I can't wait to visit. I can't.
Please. This is my guest room I'm in right now. So
I'll be right in there. Trust me, with my bags. Yep, I'll be right there. Like, it's just, like I love to like go new places and, try new things. Paris is where I belong, but I want to see the world. I didn't get a chance to see the world. And I was saying to one of my buddies yesterday in a interview, I didn't enjoy my 20s or my 30s because I worked so hard. But now that
Amen.
But now that I'm here at 39, I'm 20 all over again. And I get to do all the stuff I missed up for, the real fun. My friend, he started crying because I was like, we're going to go to carnivals and we're going to have fun. And I meant like real carnivals, not the Caribbean. I have friends that do the Caribbean, but I meant like real carnivals on the pier and ride a Ferris wheel and do all of those things that kids do, teenagers do, that I did not get a chance to do. And he started crying because I was just like, this is a second lease on life. And this, you've worked very, very hard on your degrees and education.
Same deal with me, I look back at myself at 20s, like 20s and 30s, especially my 20s. I was such a focus. I was really too focused for my age at the time. I'm more loosey-goosey now, but I was very determined, and it was, I had a goal, but even though that everything kind of got veered off and went in different directions for good reasons, but I was determined, to be a certain way by the time I'm like 35, I remember, and even I look at how I'm dressed in my 20s and I remember I looked at my photos recently of being like 20, I think it was 7 or 6 years old. I was like, wow. I think I had just had my first breakup, and I was like really gone to the gym like something like a madman. And I remember I had the best compliment at that time was when someone asked me, "Are you taking some juice or something?" You want steroids? I was like, "Thank you, no, but thank you very much."
People are so nosy.
I was very conservative at the same time. Like I would never take my shirt. I was like weird to go to the beach even and take my shirt off, like I would try to test myself, but it was, it was very I was a little uptight in my 20s,
Pent up, and
that's why now I'm just like,
Exactly. Yeah.
My friend says, "Oh, poor Morgan can't afford any clothes. He doesn't have any on Instagram."
Your friends, so your friends follow you. Yeah, of course. But the thing is,
even my mother's following me, which is funny.
yeah.
And she
But
just started how to. For years, I didn't mind her following me because she did, she's not able to use Instagram, but now she does. I'm like, oh, I gotta unfollow her soon, and her sister too.
Oh my God. No, because it's that thing you work, and people don't understand. You work hard first so that you can play hard later. But you
Yes,
have so
yes.
many people that teach the construct of, oh, play in your 20s and then right when you get in your 30s and then get serious. It's actually the opposite. I've learned that. You work hard. Like literally, I did not enjoy my 20s. I was working like a madman trying to bring about this. And then 30s, it was the reinforcement of this. And, and the content and making sure I had enough for books and albums and audiobooks and like all of this content that I'm sitting on now. And now I'm like, oh, okay. Like I still work very hard, but at the same time, I'm thinking like, I want to go to Santa Monica Pier. I've never been, like I'm starting to think like, oh, I want to do that. And I've never been snowboarding, but that might be nice. I never really liked the cold, but and then I'm like, oh, go to Portugal. Because I definitely want to go to Portugal and I want to go to Brazil and the Dominican Republic and Colombia because I hear the men are gorgeous. Like I hear the men are gorgeous.
You hit all the cute ones, I tell you.
Yeah, I'm just
Spain is cute as well. I will get Spain in there as well.
Oh yeah. I met this one guy from Spain and oh my God, he was gorgeous. I shared him on my page a couple of times. He was a gorgeous man.
I will say the Portuguese and some of the Spaniards, but mainly the Portuguese. And my mother tells them this all the time. Like, do you know you're good looking? Because I don't think they're like a bit. You think I'm honest? They're like steroids. They don't like. They could be the most gorgeous guy, and he doesn't even know. Like he's like, oh, I'm just normal. I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, don't ever go to America because you're going to be like eaten up so quick.
But that's the thing. That's what happens. These modeling agencies go to the Latin American countries, pull the Brazilian girls, pull the Brazilian boys, bring them here. And we've never seen beauty like that before. And they become top supermodels. That's exactly what happens.
When I went to Colombia, I have to say, I'm planning to go pretty early the next year. My best friends have actually left Brooklyn and moved there.
Wow.
And they live in Medellin, and that place was like, it was almost, your eyes got sick of looking at beauty almost. I was like, wow, look at this,
I'm a Libra, so I never get tired of it.
But I went to Cartagena, which is a coastal town, and I guess they're a bit more, more of African influences there. And I thought that was just like, literally, I was like, I wanted to have a shirt that said, "You want a green card?" I can get you one real quick.
I'm so glad that you are having fun. I'm so glad that you are enjoying yourself because we've had conversations and you talked about not enjoying yourself before.
No.
And now
I was like such a sad place, also in my 20s. I was, trying to come out. I was trying to, when I did go out, I was being like, some of rejections. It was like, oh my God, so it kind of puts you further in, I was like thinking, okay, well, I'm this ugly guy, and it's like, so it's like, New York is hard. It's tough, especially in, late 90s, early 2000s. It was like, no one was sensitive in those days, I don't think, so, they don't care how to make you feel, and then like the same time, like online dating and things started coming about, like manhunt and all this crazy stuff, and it's saying, I don't like this, I don't like that, this, that, and other, and it's like, okay, well, I'm just like screwed, and then I was,
but you're not. We always talk about this. I always like, I'm going to be reprogramming you until the day I die. And I'm up for the challenge because I have to say it in this interview. You are one of the most beautiful men I have ever met. You are. You're one of, when I tell you, when Kara showed me your page, because you have it private, so you can't see it immediately. So when Kara showed me your page, and I was like I was just going through because effortless charm, effortless beauty. That's what I saw. I saw real charm and real beauty. And I read, okay, this person, yes, he has a degree and has several in architecture, but he's a historian. So like that stood out to me because I'm like, you don't have too many of us that are historians.
I actually do walking tours of Brooklyn.
Yeah. See?
A historical walking tour of Brooklyn. So I'm like, the things I do I feel are boring, but people are interested, I think,
Exactly.
And I try to do that because, being a Black man and it's good to have another perspective on the history of anything, I've always, like I said, I always loved history, and sometimes, I even here in Portugal, I check these people sometimes about their history because, they're very proud of their history and they have a really great, they should be, but certain things weren't, great here, they invented the slave trade, did some weird stuff in the early days, I think they kind of, but then they, like small things, how they say things, when they say like they discovered Brazil and then they discovered Angola. I was like, well, according to my DNA test, my family's been living in Angola for like 5,000 years. So, So, and who are those people who were there? Didn't they discover Brazil first?
Yeah.
So you kind of have to,
but that's the thing.
People and how they think and how they say things, like you discovered it for yourself. It's like me going to your house and discovering your house. Like, oh.
Like that's what's so beautiful about it. And that's what I love. I love people like you because it's beauty with brains. It's both. And that, like, even today, I keep telling people this. I am 39 years old. I've never had a boyfriend. Not a single one.
Wow.
Ever.
Wow.
Early in my life, I learned that I believe the narrative that I was only good for sex. So usually when I met a guy, that was what I offered and that was it. And then usually that was offered to me in return and that was it. So I never, though I thought like, oh, I want to, and I have experienced love. Like I met someone in college, but college is the experimental years. He's a football player, he's playing, he meets me, we're talking, for about a year on the phone every night, but it's experimental. He's not ready to, leave his family, leave the other guys on the team, let them know that he loves me, so I experienced love, but no, I never had a boyfriend.
It's funny you mentioned the college years, being experimental. I was in love in college with someone who I don't know if they knew I loved them back. Like it was all this, it was a weird moment, I was totally like, I was so deep in the closet, I was like under the shelf and behind the, like college. But me and my best friend I'm like totally like into him, right? Like really into him. And it was funny because he kind of showed it back to me, but more of like, I'm gonna be frank with you, like this guy would get like total hard-ons around me sometimes. It's like, but I'm like, I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do.
If it would have gone to sex, I was so ignorant in college. I really didn't know what guys did. Like what educated me is one day I drove up to New York to visit an uncle, and I went to college down south, HBCU, for undergrad. And I drove up to New York, and right where the New York Times building is today, there was like peep show buildings. I kept seeing guys with their briefcases go in, and I'm like, oh, okay, if they can go in there, I can go inside these like peep show places. And so there was one area, I was like, oh, lots of porn. And then, straight porn. Yeah. And then I saw an area called the mail room downstairs. I went down to the mail room and wow, they had like the little videos where you can watch for like, I don't know, like 5 videos for, $5, for like 10 minutes or something like that. So here I am, a little money in the machine, and that was like my education right there.
I've been in them.
I kept looking, pushing the buttons, and they had like all these different porns, and I'm like, first time I'm seeing this right away. I'm like, 20 years old, all slow, and I'm pushing the buttons, and I kept going back to the Brazilian one. I was like, wow, And I remember saying to myself, I'm never doing that.
Right? Oh my God. You know what's so funny? We have that in common. The first, see, and my thing is how you come to it, it'll ruin you or make you great after that. Literally, the first movie I saw was a Christian Bjorn movie, and it was Brazilian.
Oh, okay.
So I immediately loved Brazilian men.
I think me too, actually.
Yeah, immediately. They were the epitome for me. It was just like, and the videos were so amazing. And I never
you
saw
have
any
to come
other.
here. I have to say, there's
See?
a lot of Brazilians here. You
See?
really have to. There's the Brazilian. The thing that's funny with the Brazilians in Portugal, I think compared to the Brazilians in America, the Brazilians in the U.S. are a little bit more confident. When they're self, they're like, we know we're the hot. You know, they know this. Here in Portugal, they could be the most beautiful, like gods. I wish you could see. I wish I could get these. I'm going to send you the ones I know their pages so you can just, you know.
I'm gonna be screaming up in here because I know
they're so humble. These Portuguese people keep them so humble.
Yeah,
they don't even realize like their hotness. And in a way, sometimes I do feel sad for a lot of them because they don't. A lot of times they are kind of like rent boys, you know. Yeah. but you know, they have such good hearts, you know, and
you want more for them. You want to see them do
like
more.
That, you know. And it's
you want more for them.
I always want to hug my little Brazilians in a lot of different reasons.
But you know what it is too? They're not in a country where they can make millions of dollars based on how they look.
That's true.
That's the thing. So they don't experience that. Then when they come here and they realize I can make a whole living. I interviewed a famous model, Dionisio Heiderscheid, and everybody calls him D.O. Everybody calls him D.O. He has done adult entertainment as well, but I came into his life, or he came into my life when I was in my teen years, and he was in the International Male catalog with all the underwear. And I remembered him from all that time. Like, I keep up with my man. Like, I keep up with you guys. So, you know, he talked about how, you know, most people, they don't see it as beauty. They're very humble. It's not, you know, a big deal. And then he said to me, he was like, you know, I'm beautiful, yes, but I made a fortune off of my abs. He was like, my abs alone. He said, so I kept them tight because I literally, in catalogs where I was wearing underwear, they shot me from the abs down. And he's like, he said he made so much money off of his abs. And he also said something too, and I'm putting this to you because I just want you to know this. He said, because he's 47. He's 47. Okay. He's 47.
He's 46.
He's still modeling. And he said that there is so much work for models, male models, whom are willing to rise to the occasion. He's 47. I'm going to have to connect you two. I'm going to be like, Dionisio, meet my friend. Because he's in Argentina. He's an Argentinian.
Another country full of beautiful people.
Yeah.
My ex, who I came here with, the first time, he was actually part Argentinian, part Portuguese, actually. That's why the 4 years we were together, he never told me he was Portuguese.
Wow.
His mom told me after I met her, after we broke up, she says, oh, you know, it's such a weird thing, but Argentinians are gorgeous people. I mean, that's another country full of gorgeous people. It's like, you know, that's South America, you can't go really wrong. You know?
Right. I agree. South Americans are absolutely beautiful. And you know what I love? You fit right in. You fit right in.
I have never, they have good energies down there. You know, I know it's, you know, their governments and everything are crazy, but the people have good energy there. And I do like South America. I mean, I do want to explore more. I've never been to Chile. I've never been to Argentina, but I do want to explore South America a bit more.
Right. Do you think that you'll end up having dual citizenship?
Yes. Yes. I see that coming sooner rather than later. I'm already talking to lawyers already about my going back and forth. The thing is, to get the citizenship, I guess I could buy another property here, because this is literally the easiest country to get a European passport.
Right.
And then once you get the Portuguese passport, you're open to, what was it, 28 countries or something like that, 27
Wow.
countries. So that means you're also kind of like a citizen of Germany and France and Spain
Wow.
and Italy.
Oh, so you telling me I gotta come to Lisbon for real? So I can become a citizen of France. You just told me. See, this is what
It's
happens
easier to
when
come
you
through here
talk.
than, and that's what happens. A lot of times a lot of Brazilians, they just use this place as a stepping stone to get to, France or wherever they want to
Oh,
go,
I'm
to
gonna have to
Germany.
spend some time in Lisbon. Oh, you have to say no more. Say no more. Like say
I'm
less.
like the expert at like trying to get citizenship here in this
Mm-hmm.
country, or or at least get a permanent residency.
Yeah. Oh. You don't even know what you did. Oh, you don't even know what you did. Go to a place with beautiful men and stay there and do what you have to do. Get citizenship to 28 countries, including France. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby. It's
Come
going
on,
down.
come on, come
No,
on.
it's going down. I'm like, say less. Like, but you know what? I love that because like for me, I'm destined to live outside the United States. I'm destined to travel outside the United States. I'm destined to be outside the United States.
It's interesting you said that. Look, like Kira's grandmother, who I'm actually really close to, she says sometimes you're born with a certain way, and it almost like, I think when you were born, it was saying like you're meant to be. I always call you Donna Summer.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
You give me her vibe. It's like Donna Summer. You're like a reincarnation of her or something like that.
Yeah.
And, the one moment I had, like, the two women I had feelings for in my whole life, one is her,
Yes.
the other one was Linda Carter, Wonder
Yes.
Woman.
Yes.
So they were my
Two
girls,
very great women.
And Donna Summer, she had to go to Germany to be appreciated back in America.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, we had this beautiful talent right under our noses, but the Germans saw it quickly, and then we picked up later on.
You know what's so crazy? My friends in Paris, they're famous, and they always say to me, "It's going to be easy for you to come here and do what you do. You're going to make a fortune. You're going to be fine. It's going to be easier." And what they always say to me is, "When you do, your country's going to send for you." But I don't want my country to send for me. I don't want them to send for me. Like, I'm not one of these. See, I used to get upset with models that I would mentor because I would be like, "Okay, you want to be a model?" They would be like, "Yes." I'd be like, "Leave the country." They're like, "No, but I want to be in New York." And I'm like, listen, there are models all over this world. Dionisio told me that he never lived in any other place other than Argentina. He traveled to model for work. He told me about working 10 and 11-hour days with Dolce & Gabbana in Italy, standing there having the clothes pinned on him. And he never got an apartment. He never got a second residence. He always went home back to Argentina because that's where he loved and that's where he wanted to be. And it's just like, I'm like, listen, I don't want America. I don't want America. Like, I don't. Like, for me, the racism is one thing, but the lack of care for our people, all people, the healthcare system, they're talking about rolling out an HIV vaccine so that you won't get HIV. But where the hell is the cure? It comes down to this.
Exactly.
It comes down to this.
Well, they had that cure somewhere too in the lab, but they're not letting it out,
Yes, Morgan. And I don't want to be a part of a country that does that.
You know what's funny? You said that. I have a friend of mine who came 2 years ago when he closed the border down. I snuck in this country. I'm that guy. And my friend, she was my ex-neighbor, and she's like, she became my wife at the airport.
Right.
And she says, "Oh."
Yeah, she was at my feet.
She goes, what she noticed about being here, she says, "Wow, they really care about their residents here. Like, they actually, this was the first country to not criminalize people who are on drugs. Like, they actually took them to the hospital instead of taking you to jail. I think we are like one of the number one places where people live to be 100, you know, because they have good health care. You just go to the doctor and get, you know, I mean, Portugal has its problems with their bureaucracy and all this other stuff too, but they do care about people. They will not let you just, you know, like right now, during COVID, all illegal immigrants are citizens of Portugal, right? So they get the same benefits as any citizen would get. Like, so if you're like a refugee from anywhere, if you're right now in Portugal, up until, well, the end of the year, but now they're going to extend it until probably March of next year or midway next year, June probably. You have as much rights as the president of Portugal, you know? So
wow.
they do care about people. It is interesting how, you know,
that's so
how we treat people. Even though certain things I do miss about the US, you know, but it's bad things. It's like some of the junk food.
Well, you know what's so funny? When I went to France for the first time in 2005, the man I was staying with, his name is Philippe. I love him. He's become my family. He asked me to bring him A&W root beer. Yeah, he said that they didn't have A&W root beer, and I got the cases and put them in my suitcase and brought them to him.
When were you there in 2005? What time of year?
I left here August the 3rd. I got there August the 4th.
Okay, I was there in May of 2005. It's Memorial Day weekend. So
I could have met you. You see?
Could have met me there. You know, it's so funny. I was in Paris. I remember I ended up staying an extra day because I missed my flight.
I was there 6 months. I was there 6 months.
How long did you?
I was there 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Because what happened was I was supposed to be there for 3, but I turned around and the bipolar disorder, I didn't know how to manage it back then or anything like that. So I went into hospital. So I was there an extra month and then I went to hospital for 2 months. So, and then that was the thing. My family couldn't help me at that time. So the US Embassy loaned me the money to come home. Got me the passport. Yeah, it's so crazy. Loaned me the money. They gave me like $1,500 for the ticket. And then they gave me like $500 in my pocket so that when I got to America, I could get to where I needed to get to.
Wow.
America doesn't do that.
Can I ask you about the bipolar thing? My father suffered from bipolar disorder. You know, so I grew up with it.
Was he type 1 or was he type 2? Because there's 2 types.
I don't know. He was.
Well, here, I'll explain, and you can. No, I'll explain.
Schizophrenia, bipolar, and manic depressive. I don't know.
Manic depression is bipolar. So type 1 is like me. You get a whole lot of energy. You can just go, and go. Type 2, depression. Always down, hiding, drapes.
Yeah. I mean, and he also had but in his.
It's hereditary too.
It is hereditary. So, and apparently it really comes up in your 20s sometimes.
Yeah. 19.
So my whole 20s, I was freaking paranoid, you know, because I thought I was, and I think it's weirdly hereditary in not maybe a direct line, because I think I have some first cousins.
You don't have to get it.
You
don't have to get it.
You know?
No, you don't have to be bipolar. But watch this. Growing up with someone that is, you can take on the traits. Especially if they're a parent, you can take on the traits and not be bipolar.
So people call me, as a joke, which is the bad joke to say, but they call me bipolar all the time they always say I'm a purely happy-go-lucky person and child, you know, and I take a lot. But this is anybody, I think. This is not being bipolar, but I guess when I go crazy, they're like, "Whoa, where'd that come from?" I was like, "Hey, you know, you come." Go in there, you know.
You gotta find people that can take and handle your big personality, because you have a big personality.
But I always found bipolar disorder very interesting. I always maybe because I did grow up with it, so I'm always curious about it and very I always, want to know more about it. And
you said you had to ask me a question. I started talking, but you said you had to ask me a question about bipolar.
Yeah, it's about like being how was it, growing up, and you seem like you have it really under control. Like my
It took a long
father,
time.
unfortunately, he could not get it under control.
Did he
He would
see? Did
always
he have a therapist and a psychologist and a psychiatrist? See, that's the
he would
thing.
feel better and stop doing everything. Like
See, in the beginning, I did the same thing. We all do that. They say that with any type of bipolar disorder, there's only two types, type 1, type 2, that you go 10 years before you finally get a handle on it. And I was true to form. So that was the thing. I would take the medicine until I felt better. And then I would stop taking the medicine. And I had a cycle. Like I would go a year, and then boom, go in the hospital. It was horrible. Then it started becoming 6 months. Then it was 2 weeks. I was like, okay, all right.
But did you have any kind of paranoia? Like, were you paranoid about things?
I'm trying to think during my
My dad was more like into like the FBI's outside and was kind of like very paranoid about like phones tapped and like our house was like a bank. We had cameras. This is before the days of people having cameras. This is like the 70s. And we had cameras all over our house. Like he's like, I'm like, oh God.
I'm sorry you had to live like that. That might have been more paranoia. That's more schizophrenia.
It was schizophrenia.
Yeah, that's more schizophrenia.
In the beginning, my mom didn't understand the move going from one thing to the other because he was such a,
the polls.
Yeah, it'd be like so not happy and but he was, this is the 70s, but he was a big weed smoker. And I think actually that helped a lot, know? I think that brought him like, and then he stopped and then my parents divorced.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but once you get the handle on it, because what you understand about bipolar disorder is it's a behavioral disorder. So the trauma that happens, it's the 5 senses: what you saw, what you heard, what you smelled, what you touched, what you tasted. People don't realize that. Those 5 senses can trigger you. So say I'm walking through the mall and I smell my mother's perfume, the same kind of perfume that she wore. It can trigger me and literally cause me to regress to where I'm 5 years old and I'm smelling her perfume, and then I can cry profusely. But what I learned to do is, like my therapist would ask me after we had a deep conversation, do you know where you are? Do you know what day it is? Like I do those things. People don't, this is funny. People don't know that I do that because my work, sometimes I'm speaking about a lot of my past trauma. So when the camera goes off, I'm checking myself. I know what day it is. I know who the president is. I'm living in the moment. I'm present here. I'm not still stuck in my past. That happened, but I'm not there anymore. I took my medication. Like, yeah, you can really, schizophrenia is a little bit more difficult to get the hang of, but you can get the hang of it. Yeah, you can get the hang of it. Bipolar disorder, it is, if untreated, it can, but you know what I love? Once you treat it, it becomes a superpower. It literally becomes a superhuman strength because type 1 is all the energy, all the highs. So I can write a song in 15 minutes, full melody, full verses, chorus, bridge, all of that. Then I work like this, just so much. So much. In 5.5 years, I keep saying this, I created 22,000 Queen of Shade videos, fully scripted, written by me. It becomes a super.
You just said something that made me happy when you said bridge, because I don't think there's bridges in music anymore. So when you say that, because you're like a real artist. You're like an artist that I miss you.
Well, forget it. I'm coming. Don't worry.
Please, because I feel like I don't have a television in Brooklyn actually, but I have one here. So I'm watching the videos.
Yeah.
And
I'm coming.
I'm like, oh, this music sounds so much like the same thing, and it's never nothing creative or nothing out there. Like I love your sound. I think
Thank you.
Thank you. Other day I was playing some of your music. I had some people over, and they're like, "What is this?" I'm like, "They're like, oh, it's a friend of mine." They're like, "Okay," they thought I was joking.
That's a good sign, though. That's a good sign. And then I pop up, and they're like,
"Oh." even my friends Shazamming it, you know. So
Yeah.
I meant to tell you that. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I have, and get it, because of me having it under control and also embracing my therapist, my psychiatrist, they told me I was a prodigy. I never believed that, because I thought to be a prodigy.
You're doing a lot of work.
Yeah. And I thought to be a prodigy, you had to be good at math, good at science, I wasn't good at those things. Not all of them. And she told me, she said, no, baby, a prodigy is good at whatever they're good at. You know, that's what makes you a prodigy. But music, you know, entertainment, you know, those things. Like, it's so funny. One of my buddies said to me the other day, he was like, you've been in this business for 20 years. I'm like, yeah, but I finally got, because I was going to sign with major labels out of New York City. And I just walked away because I don't trust labels. And the reason why, if it's not my label, is because that's corporate America. I'm not going to sign you my brand and then I can't go do. Yeah. And then you want to
keep you in that cage.
Yeah.
You know?
And my thing is, I would rather take everything that I have built, every song that I have sang, and more that I have coming, and just leave.
I think the universe was leading you.
Yeah.
You know, the right way.
Yeah.
I'm you know, sometimes it's kind of like you know, I have had times in my life where I really want to do something. I'm like very determined to do it, but something keeps blocking me, you know, and I just get depressed and mad because this does not, you know, not getting in my way.
Yes.
You know, I'm an only child, so I'm a little bit like used to getting in my way.
I was going to ask that.
I'm used to getting in my way, you know.
I was going to ask that. Yeah.
A little spoiled a little bit, you know. But it's like so. But then when it goes the other way, you know, it's like, well, that was the better route anyway.
Yes.
You know, and it's like the universe is trying to tell me, or God's trying to tell me, like, look, fool, you know, this is what you need to do right here. And sometimes, you know, like other day, we were talking about COVID earlier. It's funny how things happen. I was invited to a party. It was a super spreader event. Thank God I didn't go, because I was just like, you know, something to say, just be at peace and stay home, you know. And so I think you have that little sense that's telling you,
yeah,
you know, don't sign with these labels right now. Don't be, you know, you know,
even
it seems great, but then you're going to be like hands tied behind your back, you know.
Yeah.
You can't be yourself. You can't do what you want to do. You know, you're going to be like the same old, that stuff I hate that I hear on the radio, on videos now, you know.
Yeah.
It's getting dark. So I don't know if I'm getting
you
getting
are
darker.
So I'm getting ready to
hold on.
Yeah, go ahead, turn the light on. He's so beautiful. Yeah.
Here we go.
I was talking about you while you were going. I was like, he's so beautiful. No, but you're right. I like literally, and this is another thing that people don't understand, because like even with it being passed from my mother and father, my gifts, my natural gifts as a shaman, like I literally would be in the middle of a manic episode, which was just acting out. And that's just, you know, whatever you're doing. If you're, you know, like if you're tense or if you're angry, it just comes out. But I would like nowadays, it's so funny because my grandmother and I, we just shake our heads, because the way that I look now,
I love
what
grandma.
I wear, I love my grandmother, what I wear, how I behave, all that I do, I did 20 years ago. It just wasn't the right time. And now I'm doing it full time. And it's like, well, was that really sickness, or was that just me really knowing that I was 20 years ahead of myself? You know, that's what it ended up being. I ended up being ahead of my time, because now all the things I do, all the things I say, everything that I'm saying, I did and said 20 years ago. But my friends were like, oh, but you got to go this way. You got to get with a major label. And I was just like, nope, not doing that. And I'm so glad that I didn't. I'm so glad that I didn't, because I have so much music that I own, and there's just like, I have so much more music, and it's coming. It's coming. After COVID, I had to like start working out again, because I need the lung capacity back. You know, I need that lung capacity.
You're in good shape, though, I have to tell you.
Yeah.
You highlight a lot of these other people, you know, but
you gotta be in good shape. You can't be telling all these boys and be falling down house yourself. Like you gotta, no, I can't be, no, I gotta be, yeah.
I mean, you're kind of like me, you know, you said you're, you know, I'm sure some of your friends you grew up with, 39-year-olds, are not looking like you right now.
That's true. A lot of them don't look like me, but a lot of them didn't go through what I went through.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
so that's the commonality is that, yeah, but I love it. So now I know, like, oh, I gotta go to Lisbon and get some property and then get a
So I'm gonna give you another little thing about Lisbon. Like, so if you buy a property for 500,000, that's like automatically your citizenship. Like that's the
You're
golden
joking.
visa. So a lot of Asians are like, so we have so many Chinese property owners who, and you have the law is you have to spend I think 4 days in Portugal. So it's like I could do that easily,
Say less. Thank you so much, because I was trying to figure out how I was going to do it. And look at that, having a conversation with you because I love you and I done figured out how I'm going to do it. I'm going to tell my grandma, we done figured out how to do it. We done figured out how to do it.
Your grandmother would have an easy time here, like she, actually, it's like I think your grandmother, my mom are probably in the same age.
Yeah, she's 74. Yeah, she's 74.
Yes. My mother's like 70. I don't know, whatever. So she's something like that.
Yeah, she's gonna get
my mother's been 53 for so long. I don't know.
Yeah,
we're catching up.
Yeah,
but she's like, but it's good for her. Like she feels it's so safe. It's like, I call my mom. I always joke around and call her Mahogany. Because she's like living like this, like dying a Raw life.
I have a friend that calls me Mahogany too. Yeah, but I
think about you sometimes. When you had the song the other day, I was like, oh,
no, but get this, your mother. I've seen pictures of your mother. Your mother is Mahogany.
She's like living her life. Her teas, her lunches, she's doing things that she would love to have this lifestyle in the U.S., but she just likes, she gets the attention here. She's like, they think she's Tina Turner or somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, she's getting like, she gets a lot of attention. Like, I'm crap,
No, you're not crap. Stop saying that.
She's the one who's getting all the attention. They're like, oh, your girlfriend, your sister. I was like, what?
You're like, that's my mom.
I'm like, come on, she's 30 years older than I am.
Oh. No, but now I know how to do it. But yeah, like I have no interest in the US. I have none. I thought I was going to move to Vegas to stash my family.
I remember you talking to me about this early on in Vegas. Yeah.
But my grandmother sat me down one morning and she said, why would you go west if you really want to leave the country? She said, we need to put our money together and leave the country. And now I know, why not stop somewhere beautiful and warm, and let her relax.
Does she like seafood? Because it's a big
seafood culture. Are you kidding? I love seafood. My God. Yeah. Like it just gives me an option that I didn't have. And see, this, to all the people that are going to be watching this is why you meet people, because you learn things you did not know that weren't in your sphere of influence. And then you hear something and then it makes what you want to do possible, but you've got to be flexible. If I hadn't started this, we wouldn't be talking about this.
Very true.
And I wouldn't know. So you got to go with I love to turn with the curve. I love to turn with the curve. Go with the flow.
There's an interesting, there's a great article about a month ago, or 2 months ago now, I guess in October, about the Black expat population boom here in Portugal, and it's really something. I mean, I'm starting to see more people from, Atlanta or and Chicago. It's like, it's starting to really, California, especially California is number one, actually. A lot of Black people from California coming here, because it's kind of like, I always say Lisbon is a bit, San Francisco and Paris had a baby.
Right.
Because we have a bridge, like the Golden Gate Bridge here. We got we got trolley cars, like in San Francisco,
Yeah.
My building this building I'm in now is like 120 years old, It's still, you have that old world, charm. It's a cool place. It's very easy. It's an easy country. You're not going to be stressed out here.
Yeah, and get it. After working 20 years, it's exactly what I need. I'm going downstairs to talk. I'm going downstairs to talk to my grandmother after this because
Please,
like,
if you need anything, please. I mean, or anybody.
oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. I have your number. Oh yes, yes, yes.
Thing too. Also, it's like I love to be able to, especially if I can. Anybody, I love to help them. You know, if they want to come here. If there's something I know or can do, if I can help anybody, I will. You know, with my knowledge of,
yeah.
Why not?
No, I know. I'm so thankful that we had this conversation because I learned a lot, and my people get to see you. You wait till you see what thumbnail picture I'm going to put up.
I'm like, oh no. Sometimes
you haven't accepted me on Twitter. Like, you got to accept me on your Twitter.
This time,
You haven't accepted me on your Twitter. You got to accept me on Twitter right now.
You know what? I haven't been on Twitter in like months.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I need to get up there.
Oh, okay.
My Twitter was going to be my
I deleted my old Twitter because I didn't want my videos on there. I wanted them to come to one place to get the videos. So I deleted my Twitter and my old YouTube and I started over. And these interviews are the only thing I have on YouTube. And I've had the channel for a month and I have 6,000 like watch time views. Like it's like 6,000 views. And I'm just like, wow, people are watching.
I always feel like my Instagram is my alter ego, but I feel like my Twitter's that even Instagram's alter ego even more.
Right.
So I was like, wow.
I love your Instagram and I love your Twitter. Like I love them both.
I'm like, sometimes I'm like, wow, you really did this. Like, who are you?
But see, but get this, you have a right to be whoever you feel.
That's true. That's true. That's true. I get to live in my little.
You're 46.
I'm getting my
20s back. 46 years old. You're 46 years old. Ain't nobody gonna whoop your ass. Okay.
I have some old school judgmental friends and relatives too, and I'm like, that's
but you know what's so crazy? But you know what's so crazy?
And I'm like, okay, and really, I had to like purge all of them. I have a professional Instagram as well for work, and I had to purge them all over to that one, so they could just like look at me in my like, real estate, restoring houses way, because they're not going to get like Domingo's way,
Yeah.
And I should I will tell you about my name there too.
Yes, tell me.
I have had that name for 41 years, and when I was in kindergarten, took Spanish class, and
it's a day of the week.
Passing out names in Spanish.
It's a day of the week.
Kindergarten, right?
Yeah.
And the guy in front of me got the name of Esteban, and I was like, oh, I'm getting like a cool name like that. And she gave me Domingo, and I was like, oh, it's Sunday. I don't want that name.
Mm-hmm.
I actually hated the name, but I stuck with it. Literally, we took Spanish in kindergarten, then we don't pick it back up until middle school. So I kept the name. I don't know why. It's like, that's the name I was given. I'm going to roll with it. So my Instagram used to have my name. It was like my name with some numbers after it. It was just like whatever they came up with. And I was at a party in Brooklyn called Mr. Sundays. And I was telling my friends, the ones who live in Colombia, I was like, I need a name on Instagram because I'm like, it's like a boring name. No one's going to remember my name and this kind of thing. And he says, how about Mr. Sundays? I was like, I'm already Mr. Sunday. And then I was like, I'm singing Domingo. So that's what the name. And then I Portuguese it because it's Domingos. They used to say Domingos here. So, and the 7 was actually going to be my birth year. There's another number after that, but I got rid of that too.
Yeah. You know what? I love I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And you should keep the name. Keep it up. You just better accept me on Twitter.
I will accept you on Twitter. I'll go to Twitter tonight. I'm sure I got like a lot of people to accept.
I know. Everybody's like, oh, why can't we get on your Twitter? No, but oh my God. So give me 3 words that inspire you as a historian, as a person living in Lisbon. 3 words that inspire you.
Oh, well, 3 words that inspire me is with life. I love love. I love to love people, and but then also as a historian, I love heritage. I love history, so I love the pride. I guess the pride would be more the thing, I'm really prideful of the history. In my own history, I researched my own family to, 1600s actually. Virginia did keep good records even during slavery time. which is
Yeah.
weird. I'd love to help people with that as well. I'm a
Yeah.
big genealogist, so yeah, that's what I love. But I love to love people. I mean, that's I was always brought up, even though my parents didn't really follow it themselves. But when you meet someone, you meet their love first. You know, it's rare for me to like say I don't like someone like within like 20 minutes or something. Well, it's not
Right.
that long, but like to say I don't like someone just not to like them. If I do say that, I get scared. I try to get away from that person because it's like a once a decade thing that I would do this, you know. So it's like, you know, I'm a little sappy.
Well, tell everyone where they can find you on Instagram, not your professional.
I'm a senior Domingos 7. So SR_Domingos 7.
Yep.
On Instagram.
I'm so glad. I'm gonna be talking to you a lot because now you
You please do. I want to help you get here. You're gonna be my neighbor.
Yeah. I'm dead.
I'm just gonna put my glasses on. I can't see a thing right now. I'm just looking at like
I love you.
wow,
I love you with your glasses. I love you with or without your glasses, you know?
It's a vanity thing. I need to get past it, you know. Like, and I have so many glasses, you know. And people are like, "I like your glasses" or whatever. And I'm like, you know, these are the clear ones, so they don't see them too much. And I'm too scared to put on contacts. I don't know how to.
Contacts are easy. I got them in my eyes right now.
Really, really. I always like, don't you touch your eye a little bit, right?
Yeah. So if you won't do that, then you won't do LASIK surgery.
I can't even put eye drops in my eye. I don't know, like I struggle with that, you know. So.
Oh no! Would you do LASIK surgery?
There.
Would you do LASIK? LASIK? Would you do?
I thought about it, but again, I started thinking too hard. I started thinking, oh, suppose I blink when the guys put. And the thing is, I can see far away. I can probably see where you are right now, you know, but I can't see right in front of me. That's the thing, you know. So. Yeah, my eyes are getting worse and worse as I get older. Literally on my 40th birthday, I was reading my texts and I was like, my arm went like that. And I was like, whoa. When I was 39, I wasn't doing that. Literally that day of my 40th birthday, I was like, I can't see, you know? So.
Oh, you know what? You need to get LASIK because I got to get it my damn self.
Okay, we'll do it together.
Yeah, we got to do it together because
we'll do it here because I think it's cheaper.
That's a good idea. You're right. I am so, you know what you've done? Like for me, things happen when I see them. So as you started to talk to me, I started to see Lisbon.
I'm going to send you some things on Lisbon and how there's a great YouTube of a young Black couple who retired from San Francisco and they live here now. It's called Our Rich Journey. They talk about how to retire by the age of 40, actually. Wow. You know, there's no need to be working until like how our parents and grandparents work until like your 50s and 60s.
70s.
Enjoy your life now. Because tomorrow is not promised to us. We don't know what the next pandemic is going to happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I'm trying. That's what pretty much woke me up. Also, it's like, look, I'm trying to figure out how to retire. You know, I'm kind of almost there, but you know, some adjustments going to happen. So yeah, I'm going to send you all that information to you.
Please do.
And they talk about how to get here, how to move here, and how, you know, like how a health insurance for a family of 4 is $140 a month, you know, and private insurance.
So easy.
But if you want the public one, it's free. So
I could see my baby. I could see my nephew that I helped raise. He's 20. I could see him running around Lisbon with his girlfriend, child, having fun. Like but you know, like I just don't want to be in America, but I want that environment. Because my thing is this, I'll travel to France, be a citizen, I'll travel and work there, but I'll probably live in Lisbon.
You know what's interesting? You know, France is an hour and a half plane ride or something like that. So it's really quick. It's not like, you know, up and down.
I gotta get out of this country. I gotta get out of this country.
Literally, when I get up, I always take overnight flights. There's always one overnight flight from JFK to Lisbon. Yeah. And when I pull that shade up, you know, and I see that light. Wow. It's like this weight comes off of that shade. I'm like, you know, all that American weirdness, like
all that hustle and bustle.
all this like and all the politics and all the craziness that's happening with that, you know, and you know, it's like all that goes away. It's like, wow, this is like I can breathe.
See, then that's how you know you are where you are. And I'm so thankful that we had this conversation because now I know what to do. I'm going to go talk to my grandmother. So I'm going to end it. So ladies and gentlemen, you have heard the vocal stylings of Mr. Morgan Munsey, my friend. So back off, bitches. But so say bye. Say bye so I can end this.